Hello and welcome to the Number Nose Tarot. I am your intuitive numerologist, Tennille Crystal, and this is the Life Path 8 reading. 8s, let's begin with your characteristics. You are the manager, the boss, the CEO. You have the capacity to accumulate great wealth due to your vision, purpose, and long-range goals. As a visionary, you must realize that others are not always able to see things the way you do. Your ability to guide, inspire, and encourage is what bridges the gap and brings others on board to the goals that you're creating and achieving. Your influences must be a benefit for all. So be mindful of using your position to dominate due to arrogance or thinking that your way is the only way. Being hypercritical may lead to isolating and hurting the ones closest to you, which most likely are family, friends, and lovers. When able to balance being impatient, intolerant, overbearing, and stubborn, your reign, leadership, and influence will reflect strength and resiliency. Okay, 8s. So the energy reading, there could have been a significant connection, relationship that you may have been blind to the fact that this was actually a spiritual union. And so you could have crossed paths with someone. And it doesn't have to be, anything sensual or romantic, but something put you in the space of your emotions, right? And you did not know that that's because the fact that this was, a destined connection. You could have felt awkward or something, you just didn't see it for what it was. You didn't see a connection for what it was. Let's go there. And your emotions are the indicators. Sometimes when our emotions become scattered or we can't really control them or make sense of them, it's because something triggered them. And what may feel like one of those, fight or flight situations, we don't have to fight and we don't have to run away, and instead we kind of have to look at it and think about what is happening, what am I feeling, how am I supposed to grow through this. So nonetheless, we have some major energies here. We have transformation, and we have endings. Now when we think about endings and transforming and becoming the best version of ourselves or growing in any type of way, we kind of we're very optimistic. We don't always think about the amount of work it really takes in order to grow, in order to let an aspect of self truly fall away and be released so that we can step into the new, with a sense of balance. And so I'm feeling like we could have been a little delusional when we're thinking about the type of transformation that is required of us when we're talking about self, right? And so that's why sometimes crossing paths with certain beings is so significant, because it triggers us to move into a state of self that we've never existed in before. But when we perceived it prior to it happening, it was a cakewalk. But when it actually arrives, it's like, oh my goodness, right? And so one of the things about transformation is you can't do it unless you take every aspect of you. It's not like, okay, in order to grow, in order to level up, in order to advance and to become this new version of self, I get to leave all of my shadows, all of my kinks, all of my icks, all of my quirks behind, and I just get to take the good. But that is not it, right? There's no way that we can get to the best version of self without taking the versions of self that were very low vibrational, right? And every mistake, every error is so needed, and it's just as valuable as the high quality, high vibrational version of self, right? Like there's no way we can leave anything behind. And so really being able to make peace with all parts of us is sometimes hard. It's very easy to label things good and bad, right? But when we're talking about spirit, body, mind, and soul, all of it just is. And it's our mind that really packages it as good or bad. And that's a lesser version of self. The idea is to take every aspect of who you are and to bring balance to it. And sometimes a natural disaster has to come in order to blow up everything, whether we are that disaster or we experienced a disaster, we were a disaster in someone else's life. Sometimes we have to create a mess in order to really see the many ways in which we have to grow, right? And so being triggered by someone else, that's exactly why they were there, to help you. But when your emotions are overwhelming, it's not always able to see that. And so there could have been a significant connection that you were blind to, not really recognizing that this was actually a divine exchange that was meant to happen to propel you into this state of transformation. Prior to crossing paths with a specific person, maybe we thought this is how it's going to go, right? And we'd like to think of ourselves as developed and advanced and put together, especially eights, just because you're moguls, you're bosses, you're CEOs, like you manage things for fun, right? But managing self and recognizing the aspects of self that we have to kind of mature and grow through, we don't always consider the things that are hidden in those nooks and crannies. Like there are some things that we just don't see. And it takes significant exchanges to reveal to us, like, I got work to do, right? And so there could have been a significant ending as a result of shadow aspects of self that were hidden, right? And so this disaster forces us to kind of bring things into balance, to bring every aspect of self, leave nothing behind, right? We're not going to hide anything from ourselves because the right person is going to trigger it and find it. They're going to reveal it to us. And so we need those exchanges because it makes us finally courageous enough to say, okay, what is in there? What's in that closet? What's in that drawer? Not physically, but kind of in self, you know, what's tucked away that I haven't wanted to see. And so there could be or have been or will be a time of solitude where you're literally in hermit mode. And you have two options in hermit mode. You can either go within and do the shadow work, or you can spend time alone and project as if everybody else and everything else is wrong and it's totally not you. You always have the option of how you are going to use this solitude season to benefit you most, right? And so it seems here that in your solitude, there are certain things that you're saying, okay, I'm going to quit this. I'm going to withdraw from this, right? I'm going to reject doing this. Or what have I been rejecting? What awakening am I refusing? What am I not wanting to see? What am I not wanting to quit? And so there are things that this hermit mode, this season, this solitude is going to reveal to you. And so you are being asked to be open to the things that are behind the curtain. And even if initially they are scary, they are actually beautiful. Right? There is a rainbow in there. Just let the clouds pass. Now, at the end of this, there may be some type of apology or guilt or confession or forgiveness that is required. And, you know, that's a mental, that there's fear here. There's fear about apologizing. There's fear about being guilty. Or asking for forgiveness, you know, but there's a voice within that's kind of pushing you to possibly say sorry or apologize or to accept an apology from another as a result of a significant exchange that happened between two. Okay? 8, I hope this was beneficial. Thank you so much for being here, and I'll see you soon.